Welcome to Crisis in Perception, where we examine the systems shaping our world, one book at a time.
Today, we're diving into Ernest Hemingway's 1937 novel, To Have and Have Not. Now, this book was written right in the shadow of the Great Depression, and it is a raw, unflinching look at what it's like to live on that razor's edge between survival and total ruin.
And it really forces us to wrestle with a question that feels just as urgent today as it did back then. When the system itself feels broken or rigged, what does morality even mean? How much do our economic situations really steer our choices?
Now, on the surface, this might just look like a story about a fisherman who turns to a life of crime, but Hemingway is digging at something so much deeper here. This is not just a crime novel, it's a case study in how a system can completely corner a person.
And here is the core insight Hemingway gives us. A person's desperate actions, they aren't always a sign of a flawed character. Sometimes they're actually the most rational response you can have when you're trapped inside an irrational, deeply unfair system.
We see this play out through the book's protagonist, Harry Morgan. He's a charter boat captain down in Key West, a really tough, capable guy who's just trying to do right by his family and make an honest living.
So Harry's doing everything by the book. He's good at his job, he works his tail off, but the system of trust that he has to depend on completely breaks down. He gets a wealthy client who uses his boat for weeks, racks up a huge bill, and then just disappears. Skips out without paying a cent, leaving Harry completely broke, can't even buy fuel for his boat.
And this quote from that client, wow, it just says it all. He completely dismisses Harry's real-world problems with this casual, almost cruel indifference. It perfectly captures that giant canyon of misunderstanding between the haves and the have-nots.
That single moment, getting cheated like that, it's the tipping point. It's what kicks off Harry's journey down a path that, well, he can't come back from.
You see, his slide into crime isn't just one bad decision. It's like a series of doors slamming shut in his face. First, honest work fails him. So what's next? He takes a very risky smuggling job. That goes south, and he loses his arm. And then his boat gets taken away. Each failure just pushes him deeper and deeper, with fewer and fewer options.
And this is how he justifies it. He's basically saying, when society's rules don't ensure your family can eat, a different, more primal rule takes over. He's not really abandoning morality. He's just switching to a different one, the morality of a father who has to feed his kids, no matter what.
A really good way to picture Harry's predicament and this whole illusion of self-reliance is to think of it with a metaphor. Imagine that whole American idea of pulling yourself up by your bootstraps is a rope bridge across a huge canyon. For a guy like Harry, the system itself just keeps cutting the ropes, one by one. First goes the rope of honest work, snip. Then his physical health, snip. Then his property, his boat, snip. The bridge is just falling apart under his feet, and the system doesn't seem to care if he falls. What makes this book so incredibly powerful is the way Hemingway constantly contrasts the life-or-death struggle of the have-nots with the completely insulated, almost trivial world of the haves.
So while Harry is literally risking his life and limb just to put food on the table, you have these wealthy yacht owners in the very same harbor whose biggest worries are bad stock tips, marital affairs, and just being bored. They're living in two completely different realities, floating on the exact same water.
The whole book, every single event, builds to this final, tragic insight that Harry has in his last moments. It's a lesson learned at the highest possible price. His last-ditch effort, this chaotic bank robbery, it ends in total disaster. And as he's lying there, dying, adrift in the ocean, he finally understands the one truth that took him his entire life to see. And that's it. That's the thesis of the entire book right there. It's a brutal gut punch of a line about the absolute failure of that rugged individual myth when it goes up against overwhelming, crushing systemic pressure.
Hemingway is forcing us to see that poverty isn't just a personal failing. It's a systemic trap that is designed to isolate and break a person. No matter how strong or determined you are, you can't beat it by yourself. The problem isn't the man, it's the trap he's in.
For the full, long-form deep dive into this book and its ideas, follow the link in the description. If you enjoy these explainers, please subscribe and comment with books or topics you'd like us to explore next.